Welcome to the Body Map Explainer, unlocking the secrets within. Here, every heartbeat, every breath tells a story of life. Discover the intricate map of your body.
Welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we're going to be looking right under the hood of something we all kind of take for granted. Look, we all know fish oil and omega-3s are incredibly good for us, right? We hear it from our doctors, nutritionists, pretty much everywhere. But today, we aren't just taking their word for it. We're actually going to uncover the biological secret agent that makes it all happen.
Okay, let's dive into this. Why is fish oil actually good for you? Like, what is it doing inside your body right at this very second? Well, it turns out, when you consume an omega-3 fatty acid, that fat doesn't just sit there and magically make you healthier. There's this deeply fascinating mystery about what actually executes these incredible health benefits at a microscopic cellular level. It's not the fish oil itself doing the heavy lifting. It's what your body actually turns into.
Allow me to introduce you to the real hero of our story today, our biological secret agent, 12-Hepe. Now, please do not be intimidated by the 30-letter scientific name you see there. 12-hydroeicosapepivino acid is a mouthful, so we're just going to call it 12-Hepe. What you really need to know is that this is a bioactive oxalipin. Basically, it's a highly specialized biological messenger derived directly from EPA, which is one of the main components of omega-3. 12-Hepe is the primary mediator. Think of it as the cellular fixer that executes all those amazing health benefits we associate with fish oil. All right, on to the birth of a bioactive mediator. Let's look at exactly how EPA deploys its secret agent. So before we can look at the amazing things this molecule does, we kind of need to understand its origin story. How does your body actually forge this protective molecule out of a piece of salmon or a supplement? Well, think of the omega-3s, specifically the EPA, as the CEO of a company. In step 1, you consume the EPA, but the CEO doesn't do the grunt work on the factory floor, right? Instead, in step 2, the EPA issues an order to a specific enzyme called 12-LOX, causing that enzyme to oxidize the EPA. Finally, in step 3, we get a rapid chemical reduction that forms our stable, ready-to-work molecule, 12-HEPE. The CEO provided the raw materials, but 12-HEPE is the actual worker on the ground getting things done. And once it's created, this secret agent doesn't just float around aimlessly. No, it is rapidly dispatched to very specific, critical locations all over your body to carry out highly targeted missions. 12-HEP operates heavily in our blood platelets, our brown adipose tissue, which are our fat cells, our immune cells like macrophages and neutrophils, and even the keratinocytes right there on our skin. It is literally a multi-tool molecule, working in completely different environments just to keep you healthy. But to truly appreciate our hero, we got to talk about its evil twin. While our omega-3-derived 12-HEP represents this massive protective shift that resolves inflammation, the omega-6-derived version, which is known as 12-HET, comes from the arachidonic acid pathway. And that one is actually pro-inflammatory. This right here is exactly why the balance of omega-3s to omega-6s in your diet matters so much. When you consume omega-3s, you are actively shifting your body's manufacturing plants to create the calming, protective 12-HEP instead of its inflammatory twin. Which brings us to Mission 1, protecting hearts and blood. Let's talk about the antithrombotic effect. Let's start our tour of the body right inside your bloodstream to witness 12-HEP's first major objective, which is keeping your blood flowing smoothly and safely. Inside your blood, 12-HEP acts as the ultimate molecular peacekeeper. It potently inhibits platelet aggregation. And what that means in plain English is that it literally stops your blood platelets from dangerously clumping together under the sheer flow of your arteries. It does this by suppressing very specific cellular signals. But the absolute genius of this molecule is that it prevents these dangerous clots without broadly ruining your blood's natural ability to coagulate when you get a cut. It is incredibly precise. Now you might be wondering, does this cellular mechanism actually translate to the real world? Absolutely. This exact anti-clumping action helps explain the massive cardiovascular benefits we see in major clinical trials. Take the landmark REDUCE-IT trial, for instance. It showed significant reductions in dangerous thrombotic events when patients took EPA-rich supplements, and now we know exactly why. It's because that EPA was being converted into our secret agent, 12-HEP, which then acted directly on the platelets to keep those arteries clear.
Let's jump into Mission 2, the metabolic thermostat. Here we see 12-HEP acting as a bradykine.
So we're leaving the bloodstream now and entering the fat cells, specifically a very special type of fat called brown adipose tissue, or BAT for short. Here, our biological secret agent completely changes hats and functions as a bradykine. A bradykine is basically a hormone-like lipid that gets secreted by brown fat to regulate your overall metabolism. And interestingly enough, this whole system gets cranked up when your body is exposed to cold temperatures. So yeah, shivering actually has a biological upside. When you get cold, your body has to generate heat, and 12-HEP is the chemical messenger telling your cells to start burning fuel to keep you warm.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how 12-HEPE kicks off this incredibly rapid insulin-like chain reaction. When it's released, it activates a cellular receptor, which then phosphorylates the PI3K/ACT pathway. I know that sounds highly technical, but just think of it like a domino effect. The falling dominoes eventually trigger step 3, which is GLUT4 translocation. That literally opens the doors of your cells to pull in glucose straight from your blood. The end result? Vastly enhanced glucose uptake. Your body is burning sugar to create heat.
And because of this amazing ability to clear glucose out of the blood, 12-HEP has a profound metabolic impact. We've seen studies in obese mice showing it directly improves glucose tolerance and insulin sensitivity. Plus, researchers have actually found that circulating levels of 12-HEP are lower in obese individuals. That strongly links the absence of our secret agent directly to metabolic dysfunction. Simply put, without enough 12-HEP, your metabolic thermostat is broken.
Next is Mission 3, sweeping arteries and skin and halting atherosclerosis and inflammation. Let's see what happens when 12-HEP interacts with your immune system inside your blood vessels and your skin. Inside the walls of your arteries, you have these immune cells called macrophages. And sometimes they can gorge themselves on bad cholesterol until they turn into these dangerous lipid-laden foam cells. This right here is the very beginning of atherosclerosis, or heart disease. But 12-HEP steps in and literally sweeps the arteries. It suppresses this transformation, stopping the macrophages from turning into foam cells, which effectively halts heart disease in its absolute earliest stages. How cool is that?
So how exactly does it pull this off? Well, it flips the genetic switch called PPAR gamma. By activating this receptor, 12-HEPE upregulates specific transporters that act like microscopic pumps, physically pushing cholesterol right out of the tissue. At the exact same time, it forces the immune cells to adopt an anti-inflammatory healing state. The visible, real-world result of this cellular magic is a massive reduction in lipid deposition around the aortic valves. Oh, and as a brilliant bonus mission, 12-HEPE also travels to your skin. When you consume omega-3s, this molecule accumulates right in the dermal layers where it downregulates pro-inflammatory chemokines. To put it simply, it acts as a molecular soothing agent. It calms down inflammation and alleviates contact hypersensitivity. So it's healing you from the inside out, quite literally all the way to your skin.
All right, moving into our final section, activating your own 12-HEPE. Let's talk about how to actually boost this bioactive mediator. So, how do we actually take advantage of all this? This explainer definitely wouldn't be complete without summarizing how you can use this science to optimize your own biology starting today. Here are the actionable takeaways. First and foremost, you have to provide your body with the raw materials. That means increasing your dietary omega-3 intake, specifically EPA, from fish or plant sources like linseed oil. Second, you can actually trigger its release through deliberate cold exposure. Think cold plunges or cold showers, which activate that brown adipose tissue we talked about earlier. You are essentially handing the CEO the raw materials and then using the cold to signal the factory to start producing our biological fixer. So the crucial point is this. 12-HEP is not just some random byproduct of digestion. It is the essential bridge. It's the active link between the dietary EPA you swallow and the real-world cardiovascular, metabolic, and anti-inflammatory benefits you actually experience. Omega-3 doesn't just sit there doing nothing in your cells. It actively deploys 12-HEP to do the incredible, life-saving work of keeping you healthy.
Which leaves us with one final, incredibly important thought to reflect on today. We now know that your body has this highly sophisticated, built-in system of secret agents ready to fight blood clots, burn glucose, and sweep your arteries clean. But they absolutely cannot do it out of thin air. So, I have to ask, are you feeding your cells the right raw materials to deploy their own secret agents? Think about that the next time you sit down and plan your meals. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep learning.